This is 10 Eyewitness News with Josh Holt.
Good evening. Hundreds of security and emergency personnel are preparing to sweep on the Gold Coast in one of the biggest counter-terrorism exercises ever undertaken in Queensland. As preparations ramp up for the Commonwealth Games, authorities are vowing to be prepared for any threat the event may bring. Pippa Sheehan explains.
10's weather expert Josh Holt joins us now.
Well, as it moves a little bit further south, it's going to run into a bit of wind shear. Now, that's wind speed and direction changing through different levels of the atmosphere. Now, cyclones hate that, of course. They love a very still environment, so they can spin up and rotate. Lengths of a 134-year-old power cable, the first laid in the southern hemisphere, have been unearthed in Brisbane. It was designed by Thomas Edison and is so rare it's now destined for museums around the globe. Mark Sulo joined today's dig.
Well, you may be able to hear these incredible wind gusts as they're starting to unleash across the township of Bowen.
Wow, you've just had a huge part of the roof just come off behind you.
Yeah, we're just having a look. Yeah, that is the guttering of the motel. It's just been ripped off. So as I mentioned, that structural damage now is starting to happen in Bowen. It's just been absolutely torn to shreds like it's a piece of paper. It's absolutely incredible when you're up close and personal to a system like Debbie, just to see how ferocious Mother Nature can be. Now, there is plenty of fun activities down here tonight, including a little bit of face painting, virtual cricket, and we're with a few of the fans here tonight of the Brisbane Heat. Now, guys, are we looking forward to the Big Bash 7 this year? Yeah! Do we think the Brisbane Heat are going to win? Yeah! Is the weatherman a weirdo for painting his face?
Yeah! It is weather time, Josh. Are things heating up at the Gabba?
Good evening, Georgie. Yes, they are. In fact, we're expecting a record crowd for this time of year. Over 30,000 Heat supporters cramming into the Gabba. They're filtering in at the moment. And don't I have a treat for you? We've got the Brisbane Heat superstar, Jimmy Pearson, joining us tonight. There we go, Heat fans. We're counting down, Georgie. Very close to game time.
Heaters' moves are better than yours, Josh. Thanks, Josh.
Those temperatures begin to cool down, and that's what I'm trying to do tonight, Georgie and Lachlan. I know you wouldn't understand being in that very comfortable air-conditioned studio back at Mount Cootha, and let me tell you, these kids have been splashing me for the last hour, so now it's time for the weatherman to get some revenge. Here we go, kids!
Oh dear, watch the audio equipment. See you, Josh. That is 10 Eyewitness News for now. We'll be back tomorrow at 5.
Yeah, there went the microphone.
Yeah.
Dave Manchin, you're the star of the show from the Rooftop Express. It's a big show. You get 23,000 here every night. Tell us about the show this year.
Josh, first and foremost, mate, you do wear that hat well. Congratulations, part of the crew.
And also Georgie and Lachlan tonight. I think I found my mini-me. His name's Elijah. Check it out.
Good, so
what do you reckon?
Spot on.
That is gold.
Yeah, Georgie and Lachlan, I think I'm going to run my own experiment now and actually try this. It looks very tasty.
I know, I was going to say that. Do they get to eat their experiments? Marshmallow and jelly.
Yeah.
Hope their fingers were clean. Thank you, Josh.
It will then go through what we call an extra tropical transition during Wednesday and Thursday. Linda will lose her tropical characteristics. She'll go from a warm core system into a cold core system, similar to what we see in the Southern Ocean with low pressure systems as she moves away from the Queensland coast.
Josh Holt, who's reporting live from Bowen all morning for us. Josh, we saw your very close call with a metal roof guttering earlier. We're glad you're okay. What's the latest there now?
Well, you may be able to hear these incredible wind gusts as they're starting to unleash across the township of Bowen. As you mentioned, we had a little bit of a close shave. The corrugated iron that lines the roof here just came away and collapsed and gave us a bit of a fright. Even weather presenters aren't immune to cyclones like Debbie. But I'd like to show you some of the trees that are lining our motel. Just have a look at the top of them. The palms have just been sheared off by these incredible wind gusts. And as you dip the camera a little bit further, you'll be able to see a palm tree has now actually been uprooted and it is dangerously looming over a property which is lining our hotel. You can see the grey roof there. That's the rooftop of the home, and the palm tree is nearly almost about to fall onto that house. The other feature we're seeing, obviously, is the very heavy rain, and as I get the camera to go down the driveway again, you can see the flash flooding is starting to happen in Bowen. Some of that floodwater is even making its way up our driveway. Now, the Bureau of Meteorology has also updated its latest warnings and also forecast track map. First of all, I'll start with the location. Right now, severe tropical cyclone Debbie is only located 65 kilometres off the coast. So she is very close indeed. We've seen wind gusts recorded at 263 kilometres per hour. The Bureau is saying there is the possibility near that destructive core of the cyclone, we could see those gusts getting up to around about 270 kilometres per hour. That is a very high-end Category 4 severe tropical cyclone. Now, the latest forecast track map, it has dipped just a little bit further south of Bowen, but still very close indeed. It'll probably make landfall in between Proserpine and Bowen, so both townships could be affected by these extremely strong winds over the next few hours, guys.
All right, Josh, just one thing that you mentioned there about the wind gust that we know of, obviously at 263 kilometres an hour, peaking at Hamilton Island. What about the average wind that you're copping right now? Can you feel that starting to pick up as well, or is it just coming and going at you in bursts?
Yeah, the sustained wind speeds, that's what we talk about. We have sustained winds and, of course, the wind gusts, but the sustained speeds are also incredibly strong. They're well over 100 kilometres per hour easy. You can see that by the way the trees are swaying and everything else. And then you've got those recorded gusts as well, right up and over the 100 kilometre per hour mark, exceeding 200 kilometres per hour in some areas. And obviously in the Whitsundays, we've seen those gusts over 260 kilometres per hour. Now, at the moment, as you mentioned, the eye is very close indeed. The latest radar I had a look at just a few moments ago here at the motel, it has the eye just hovering over Hayman Island as we go live to air. So this system is very close and you can certainly feel it in Bowen at the moment.
You are walking a very fine line in Bowen at the moment, Josh. You, of course, have to do your job. You need to bring us the very latest on what's coming in from on the ground, and also you need to stay safe. What sort of preparations have you and your crew taken to make sure that you guys get through this storm safe and sound as well?
Well, early preparation is the key in any severe weather event. So when we got the crew together last night, we made a bit of a plan. We've got a couple of rooms here at the motel, and what we did was we got a lot of gaffer tape and we taped up all the windows just in case any of the debris from these wind gusts gets blown into the windows. You may be able to see some of the tape here lining. This is my room here, and then I've actually moved the couch. You might be able to see it just off into the background there. That's my bed, and I just wanted to put it up against a concrete wall just for a bit of extra safety. I've also taped the windows at the back, and I've also used quite a bit of tape on the windows in the bathroom just in case, worst case scenario, we have to duck in there and duck into the shower, which is actually quite good. There's a bathtub and shower and it's all lined with tile, so worst case scenario, you just jump in there. That's of course always the strongest part of any structure in any motel, hotel or home. So very important you prepare early. We've also filled up all the big tubs in the laundry, so we've got water there available. We also boiled the kettles last night, so we had some safe drinking water if need be. We also have a lot of supplies. In fact, our very kind executive producer in Brisbane for 10 Eyewitness News, Holly Green, she met us at the airport before we left, and she put together a ration pack. Can you believe it? For all members of the crew. She's an absolute darling, let me tell you. So we've got our ration packs as well, and we're pretty well prepared, I must say, and we're staying very sensible. We're staying within the concrete structure of the hotel at the moment as these winds pick up, so we're in no danger whatsoever, and we'll continue to be safe right throughout the afternoon.
Yeah, you do have to prepare. I mean, it sounds a bit daggy and you go into almost Bear Grylls kind of mode, but when you've got a storm coming your way the size that it is and you're already feeling the effects of it, you have to be prepared. You mentioned that Hayman Island is the location right now where the storm's sitting, Josh. Hayman's sort of to your east and south a bit, and that appears to be what's happening with this one. You've been following the same tracking maps that I've been following off the bomb, and it's actually dropped a little bit further south, so it's now including south of Mackay, so down towards Serena, but the eye of this storm where it's going to hit is pretty much in your zone between, say, you and Proserpine, thereabouts, so you're halfway literally between Townsville and Mackay. That's where it's going to have the most impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Right in between Proserpine and Maboan. That's the most likely scenario in the latest update we got from the Bureau of Meteorology. But because Debbie is so wide in size, the destructive core will be across a large area. So it will include areas like Proserpine. They could possibly see gusts at 270 kilometres per hour along with Bowen. So it is covering quite a large area of Queensland, and it's certainly one we'll have to continue to monitor over the next couple of hours. But I mean, you can just see here. I mean, look at the water just shearing off that roof off into the distance. It's just absolutely incredible. I mean, I've covered a lot of cyclones. I've been doing this for the last 12 years. I was in Yasi and other notable systems, and I must say this one is pretty unbelievable. It's certainly up there with the strongest I've seen.
Hey Josh, for those who don't know the area surrounding where you are and for where we're talking about, the specific area where this cyclone is going to cross the coast, in between Bowen and Proserpine, we've got places like Hideaway Bay there, we've got a big forest, a national park there as well. How many people are we talking about roughly in that zone? Is it populated in between there, or is it mostly obviously where you are in Bowen, about 10,500 people, and then Proserpine? What's actually in between?
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting. Probably in our area, the most populated region would certainly be Bowen. Obviously, Proserpine has a decent population as well. And then, of course, you go into Airlie Beach and the Whitsundays areas. But there's also little townships along the way. If you follow the main highway down the coastline, you come across those. And I'm not quite sure what's happening in those areas. Obviously, communication is starting to go down across the region. We're getting dribs and drabs of what's going on, but they're certainly feeling the force as well. I mean, we talk about the area. It's the beautiful Herbert and Lower Burdekin, the central coast of Whitsundays part of Queensland. There are a lot of people that reside here. There's also a lot of farms in the region, which we should also probably touch on. In terms of the cane farmers, I was speaking to one of those on the plane on the way up to Queensland, and he was telling me they've had an absolute bumper crop this year. And the bad news is they're about to crush the cane, so it's quite mature. And so what they were worrying about is it being bent over and also rotting from the base, which would be absolutely devastating for this very region. And in Bowen itself, there is a lot of tomato farms, and they're also worried about that crop at the moment as well.
Yeah, Josh, it's interesting because, North Queenslanders, they have this amazing sense of resilience and a bit of a, she'll be right, mate, attitude, to these sorts of situations. Have you found, though, that people are really starting to feel worried and feel anxious about what sort of damage this storm might cause? Because all the chatter in the lead up to it has been there's something different about this storm. It feels fierce, and we're worried about it.
Yeah, you're dead right, Sarah. I mean, as I mentioned, I have been in quite a few cyclones, and what I've noticed in North Queensland, I mean, they do get these weather systems quite frequently in the severe weather season. Now, when they're Category 1, Category 2, yes, people take note, but there's that sort of attitude, she'll be right, mate. I think when these systems go severe Category 3, and especially go Cat 4, Cat 5, the North Queenslanders, they know what it's about. And I must say, I have been really impressed with the locals, especially here in Bowen, over the last 24 hours. When we were walking around the town yesterday and doing our news gathering, they were aware of the situation. They were doing all the right things. Even the guy that owned the bottle in town was boarding up the windows and telling us that they're taking it seriously and they're doing everything they can to stay safe and also keep their families safe. I saw people gathering up loose items, tree branches that looked a little bit dead. They were getting rid of those. They were tying down loose items in their backyard. So they're doing everything they can. They've taken it seriously, and hopefully they will continue to take this seriously because it's not over yet. As mentioned, because she's such a strong system, once she makes landfall, it's going to be quite a while before she dies down. The latest modelling is suggesting probably not weakening to a tropical low till probably late tomorrow morning. So we're still going to see some very strong winds right across the adjacent inland. And as I've been mentioning through the morning, there is the risk as this system turns into that tropical low and tropical depression and mills around those inland areas, we're going to see widespread heavy rain and also river flooding right across many regions.
Okay, Josh, take a breather. Stay safe. We'll check in just a minute.